All right, good evening, everybody. It looks like we are working third time's the charm. I'm just going to refresh my dashboard and confirm that the audio is working, that there isn't any kind of scratching, and then I will go into the game. One thing that I've noticed with the game I'm going to be playing tonight is that it isn't quite as stream friendly as some of the other titles, so I'm not going to be able to manipulate some of my windows. If I do, that just translates to the game vanishing from the stream. I'm going to do my best not to let that happen, but it'll be a learning experience for all of us, I suspect. All right, well, you probably just heard the audio there, so let's jump into the Darkest Dungeon. This is the game I've been holding in reserve for the last little while, and I think it's time that we gave this a go. No Crusader Kings tonight, I think. I was originally going to do that, but... just one more second. The reason I'm not going to do Crusader Kings tonight is just because there's a little bit... Oh, thank you very much for explaining that, Redivine. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Our venerable house, opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth, but we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the Darkest Dungeon.
So yeah, thank you very much for explaining why I was having my problems there, Redivine. I also feel like I kept calling you Redvined. I kept forgetting the E. I'm going to assume it sounds a bit like redefined, except there's an F instead of a V, but please feel free to correct me on the pronunciation. So thank you everybody for sticking with me while I got my Twitch issues sorted out. It's a small price to pay for a free hosting service, so I'm not going to complain. I neglected to read the introduction, but basically it's a disclaimer saying that The Darkest Dungeon is a hard game, and it expects a lot from me. This will be true. I've played a little bit of it just to see if it would be working out. I think this is a really fun game. It really doesn't need any introduction. This has definitely been a darling on Twitch, and for good reason. I think this is a pretty solid title. But I will sort of be explaining some of the background for it and what I think makes this a really effective title, why I sort of broke my rule of generally not buying early access games. Redivine. Okay, cool. But as you can see, I decided to make the Hammer Time estate to start playing the game. But we're going to be doing a fresh playthrough for this stream, so I know I haven't given people a lot of chance to file in, but for the next few minutes, I'm going to be willing to accept some new estate titles for this playthrough. Feel free to just say whatever you want inside a chat. I have a couple ideas of what I might be able to use. I'll maybe look at my bookshelves and see if I have any titles. But feel free to choose the name of the family whose estate we'll be venturing into. Yes, we can name characters in this one, and I'll be doing that as well. The Rose Estate? Yeah, why not? Let's make this the Rose Estate. Oh, CPO Williams, sorry, I saw Redevine's.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
A little something cheery for your Sunday night. This game sure uses a lot of adjectives. Not that it's bad. I should maybe say this is by a local company in Vancouver. I believe their name is Red Hook. But I'll talk a little bit about the background of the game in a second here. I will go through the tutorial. Like I said, this game feels like it doesn't need any introduction on Twitch, but it really seems to me to be the best way to go about it, is to sort of treat it as if it was brand new and I was experiencing it for the first time, which for the most part I will be. You did see that I had 8 weeks, but I've really only done about the first 2 dungeons in this game and then have been beaten to death. And there has been a patch since the last time that I played, so I suspect everything that I knew before will be wrong now. So map navigation. You are currently in a room. To move forth, click the other room on the map display. This will take you to the connecting hallway.
These lanes. Keep to the side path. The hamlet is just ahead.
Well, in a hallway, press D to move forward and A to move back. If you prefer the mouse, you can click ahead or behind the party to move them.
Dispatch this thug in brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival.
Kill the enemy. Combat is turn-based. On your hero's turn, click a skill icon, then click on a highlighted target. If you can't select a particular skill, it's because that hero needs to be standing in a different spot, or there are no valid targets. Mouse over to see the skill requirements. This is actually a good time to talk a little bit about how combat works. I think there's one thing that's really nice about this game as far as streaming is concerned. The layout is really nice. So obviously the main play area is at the top of the screen here. That sort of kind of goes without saying, and certainly my main interactions are going to be here, but I get a nice overview of where I am, and so do the viewers, in this bottom right corner, whereas the left sort of gives me all those technical details. I would assume that, at least when I've been watching this game, I'm less concerned about the details in the bottom left as a viewer. As a player, I might be focusing on these, but again, I just think this is a really nice little layout. As far as controls are concerned, it's actually a very simple game, but there's definitely quite a little bit going on behind it. So as far as this combat system works, you'll notice that on the left-hand side, I've got kind of 4... There are 4 dots. These represent possible places for either heroes or enemies. And then the top left corner will be in yellow, which indicates my position within the party, whereas the red dots indicate the position of enemies. So open vein requires me to be in one of the first 3 spots in the party, and the enemy to be in one of the first 2 spots in the party. This is a solo guy, so it's a little bit harder to, to think of it in those terms. It says it's a melee attack. I'm not entirely sure how relevant that is, other than sort of, as you might expect, melee attacks tend to only affect the first 2 spaces. AC base, I'm assuming, is accuracy. The damage modifier is whatever my base damage is, and then in this case, it'll subtract it by 15%. But in exchange for that, I have the potential of inflicting bleeding damage on this guy. So that's just damage over time. I can also, this is something that the game will say later, I can actually right-click on this guy and get some other features of him. So his quirks are Hard Noggin, 15% stun resist, and Quick Reflexes, +2 to speed, which is probably why he's acting first. His negative quirk is that he's a known cheat, and so he will not be able to gamble while in town. Why would you want to gamble? Well, we'll get into that a little bit later. The one I focus on most here is his preferred position. So he prefers being either second in front or second behind. He doesn't like being at either the extremes. And his preferred target is actually one past the leader. So as far as sort of a composition for a team is concerned, you actually kind of want to pay attention to this stuff. Clearly I was given this scenario, as a tutorial, so I don't get any say inside of this, but the one thing I've noticed about this game is that it's very easy to have everything fall apart from you, and so if you're sort of on the margin about whether or not you're going to be able to beat a dungeon, usually you can look to improving some efficiency as far as your team lineup is. Now, I'll tell you, I always forget to. So, practically, though, I've got one of two options. I can use my Grape Shot Blast, or I can use my Open Vein. Now, Grape Shot Blast would be great if I had multiple people. You'll notice that the red dots here are connected by lines, which means it's an area of effect attack. But in this case here, it has less accuracy, a lower crit modifier, and it only does half of the damage. There's no real point for me to use an area of effect attack on a single target. So here I'm just going to use Open Vein. Obliterated. Didn't see that coming, did you? And as is sort of traditional in games like this, you get to loot the corpses. Interactive objects. While exploring, you will often find interactive objects. Click or press W to investigate them. Take a look at this tent. So I'm just going to take a quick look at Reynold. So he is a Warrior of the Light, so light above 75, plus 10% damage. So this means that as long as I keep my torch high, he's going to be doing some extra damage. Now his drawbacks are that he's a kleptomaniac, so he's prone to stealing items, and he is God-fearing, which means he will only pray for stress relief. This is kind of the inverse of my Highwayman's ability, where he's not able to gamble. This is a stronger requirement on my Crusader, which is that he is not able to do anything but pray. Now, because he's a kleptomaniac, I'm actually going to use my Highwayman to take a look at the tent. The Brigands left valuables.
Leave nothing unchecked. There is much to be found in forgotten places.
And this is basically a level. So the main mechanic of this is sort of the transition between two locations. There's usually a fight when you go into the next room, but your interaction is usually just kind of walking through this. It's basically walking through this. The dungeon, basically.
Send these vermin a message. The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome.
So I have a couple of possibilities here. I could try and focus down this Bloodletter, or I could try and take on the Fusilier, who's the ranged character. Now, I did such a good job on the last Brigand, I'm probably going to feel overconfident about the ability of the Open Vein. But if I look at it, all of my other I'm going to say that it's better to take down one sure target rather than the other. Oh, you know what? I can't use the Open Vein, so that's a bit of a moot point. I think what I'll try and do then, actually, is I'll start with an Open Vein on the Bloodletter, just so I can get a little bit of damage over time, and then I'm going to use my pistol shot to take out the Fusilier for the remaining turns. So. This is an example of an area of effect shot, although both dodged it. Alright, looks like I'm bleeding myself. Now, I don't have any bandages, so there's nothing I can really do to fix that. Could do Bulwark of Faith. Now, that's an interesting one to use, because that's going to put my light back up to 75, which means he's going to be doing some more damage. The alternative I'm thinking of was to do a Stunning Blow on the Bloodletter, just so I can sort of reduce their main damage dealer. But in this case, I actually do want to do Bulwark of Faith just because it'll improve my torch, and as a result, I'm going to be doing more damage in the following turns. So this may not pay off, but we'll see. And we got lucky to dodge his whips again, so... Now I'm going to go a pistol shot on the Fusilier. This probably isn't going to be enough to kill him because it is a 25% damage reduction. However, it does have a crit modifier, so if I get a lucky crit, I might be able to take this guy out again. Nope, but 6 damage, so he's at half health. Can't staunch the flow. So now I'm just going to use my Stunning Blow on the Bloodletter. And hopefully another pistol shot should be able to take out this gunman.
Surges as the enemy crumbles.
Now I have a couple of possibilities here. I could try to... I could just try to do a good old-fashioned smite, which in this case would sort of give my base damage on this guy. As far as my damage, it says here it's 3 to 5, so I'm not going to be doing a whole lot. I think it's probably better if I try to stun him again. And just get my Highwayman to do the damage. As it is, he resisted it, so... The only thing you don't like about the game is the animations and the chat boxes take too long, and there's no way to reduce them. Oh, that's a good point, actually. I was actually going to compliment this game on its art style. I'm not a big anime fan, but one of the things that I guess that drew my attention to it was how a lot of its actions sort of seem to be these really dramatic poses, and it sort of seems like this follows in that tradition. When you think about this game, it's actually... very simple, right?
The beast, the greater the glory.
When you, like, it's sort of these 2D movements. The movements are relatively simple. The animations are relatively simple. And it's just moving, like, things moving back and forth. But, I don't know, it's a game that's really engaged me. You know, like, as far as mechanics are concerned, when I'm not in combat, I'm just going to be doing this. Right? And it's just a pair of legs moving, maybe the arm moving a little bit as far as animation. But, I don't know, this whole idea of these little dioramas of these little paper cutouts, it's just something that really appeals to me. I thought they did a wonderful job on the art here. So, personally, I don't mind the animation timing. But I think if you play a lot... Yeah, I agree, Enders. The art style, I think the art style is really beautiful. But on the other hand, like, if you're just trying to clear through a dungeon, I can see that if you don't have the option of, like... canceling an animation, you know, once you've seen the slash of the Highwayman 100 times, it's probably going to wear a little bit. So we got 5,000 for completing the quest, 1,175 just from the... hi, Enders, by the way. I don't think I said hello to you tonight. I'm not entirely sure if the value of this also came from the Onyx. I think it did. I didn't collect any heirlooms. Heirlooms you'll use to build up the town. Yeah, I think that's a good point, Redivine. But yeah, I mean, this is a tutorial mission, right? You're generally not expected to do a whole lot extra on it. So we'll see what happened to these guys after traveling the old road. So he got Cytomania. He's obsessed with food. And he became a Warren's adventurer, so a 20% stress resist when we are exploring inside. Well, it's all good, Enders. I'm always happy to have people watching, so thanks for stopping by. As for Dismas, he's scattering, so his range damage went down, which is unfortunate, and he became irrepressible, which gives him a plus 5% to resist affliction.
Welcome home. Such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now, and you are bound to them.
Thanks, Dad. So yeah, let's so we talked a little bit about the fact that this is a local studio. I believe the people who have made this game all are established figures in the gaming industry, and I think they wanted to set out to make a studio of their own, to make their own games. They went to Kickstarter to sort of sell this to people. I've talked a little bit about what I think of Kickstarter and Early Access. This, I think, is one of the games that has done it right. I think one of the main reasons why it's become so successful, other than the fact, of course, it's a very talented team that's making it, is that they went for a good idea that was realistic to implement, right? Like I said, the interaction in the hallway is me moving forward and me moving back, and whatever encounters happen either by running into monsters or by running into like an object I can interact with. The estate that I'm going to be showing you here, this is, building up your base or something like that. That doesn't have a degree of interactivity. That's more sort of between missions. Again, that's something which is a little bit more like managing a spreadsheet. That's not necessarily something that is too taxing. I think even a basic computer science, and this isn't to knock the game, like I'm just simply talking about realistic goals, because the combination of these things makes an incredible game. But if you think about it, the managing of this city is not exactly the hardest sort of problem that you're going to put a team of programmers on. It's something that is achievable, and you have some fairly clearly defined goals in terms of whether or not it's working. And then finally, there's the combat system where, you have this turn-based interaction between at most 8 individuals, I believe, unless there's some monster that allows them to exceed that 4 positions. But overall, this is a fairly straightforward set of mechanics, which in concert together, and just the way that they've tweaked the parameters and sort of the different permutations that you have as far as what type of characters you can have and what abilities they have, it is a very simple set of basic rules that have a very high amount of complexity. You might argue something like a card game like Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone, the individual rules of those games are actually very simple. Whereas what the cards do to those rules and the fact that they sort of change things around and bend them is where the complexity and the fun of the game comes in. So maybe it's not the best analogy, but it's the best I could come up with at the time. So in this case here, I think we are very fortunate for having a platform like Kickstarter that allowed a game like this to come through. And I think it was really great that the developers had such a good idea for a game and were able to implement it in such a simple way that, there's no doubt as to whether or not they're able to, to accomplish it. So with that introduction, that's not the best introduction of it. And the other thing, too, is the art style is great, and clearly they hit it out of the park with this voice actor, who I also believe is based in Vancouver. You can just listen to this, this narrator forever. So I haven't done a lot in this game. So the quest goals I haven't completed. I've got defeat the apprentice necromancer, the wizened hag, the swine prince, the swine king, the necromancer, the hag, the necromancer lord, the swine god, and the hag witch. Roster goals, I want to raise each of these types of heroes to a resolve level 6. So that's just, these guys are level 1 right now. And I think the most I've gotten somebody is to level 2, and then they died. So, get help where you may. On any screen in the game, press and hold H to see contextual help for the controls in that mode. Try it while in town, exploring, fighting, camping, and more. So, the thing that this game is largely about is not just dungeon crawling and adventuring. I think that's fairly apparent now. But the real selling point of this game is the stress that comes up. As you can see, Reynald, my crusader, is saying, I won't go back. So one of the mechanics that we didn't really see a lot in the tutorial mission was the fact that these guys get stressed as either the adventure goes against them, or the longer they spend inside the darkest dungeon, or any of these kinds of situations. So you need to manage the psychology of your team as well as the actual survival, and the interaction is actually quite difficult, which is what makes this game so fun. So it's definitely everything gets called a roguelike nowadays. It does have permanent death. It has a bit of a progression system in the sense that, if my band of adventurers all die, that's not the end of the game. I just get new adventurers. So, the progression would be as I build up all of these, these different rooms. But I think maybe the best way to approach this would maybe be to discuss it as I play it. So we'll just take a quick visit to the graveyard.
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth, awaiting merciful oblivion.
Clearly there's nobody here yet, fortunately. That will change in a little bit. And we'll go to the stagecoach.
fools and corpses. All will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
The Stagecoach is your hero lifeblood. You'll need to recruit these 2 heroes to fill out your party of 4. Drag and drop them onto your roster. While you're here, spend some of your starting resources on upgrading the Stagecoach network. This will increase the number of heroes available here in the future. To upgrade, click the plus symbol on the left and then click on the upgrade. So we will drag our heroes in.
Better laboratory than the blood-soaked battlefield.
So I will go over the traits of these characters in a little bit, but while I upgrade the Stagecoach, I would encourage anybody in chat, if you want to have yourself named after one of these heroes, or if you want to suggest a name for a hero, just put that into chat right now. If you would prefer a particular type of hero, this is the Crusader, the Highwayman. I will call him the Doctor. I don't quite remember what he's called, and, well, actually we can find out. So he's Seeker Plague Doctor, and a Vestal. So, Crusader, Highwayman, Doctor, Vestal. If you want to be one of these in particular, just say it. I will give priority to the first, as far as what type of hero, priority to the first person that I read. Other than that, just say whatever you want, and I will accommodate as best as I can. So, upgrading the Stagecoach increases the available heroes for hire each week and increases the roster size. What I'm looking at here is that I've got 4 of 9 heroes right now. I can take at most 4 heroes into a dungeon, and I'm going to have a pool that's coming in. So, at my moment, I want to come down with a horrible mental illness and eventually die. Yep, you can be the Highwayman. The way that I think about the roster is that I have 2 teams plus 1 with my current roster size. So, to my mind, the Stagecoach network, which increases the number of recruits available for hire, the change will take effect after you return from your next quest. Whereas so this one basically increases the number of recruits that will appear in this blank space right now, so the people that I can add to the roster. Whereas the hero barracks increases the size of the hero roster. Now, my reasoning right now is that I want to increase the network because let's assume that these people perish. I want to be able to replace them. If I have greater variety, I can pick and choose who I think is worthwhile. I can kick out people if I don't think they're worthwhile as well. Whereas if I have a large barracks, but I don't have that many people coming in, it's really not worth it. So eventually I'm going to want to move up the hero barracks, but right now I think increasing the Stagecoach...
Ambition is stirring in distant cities. We can use this.
I think increasing the Stagecoach network as far as I can would be best to basically just get my pool up. Endors, I'm going to take that as you wanting to be the Doctor. I'm going to say this is last call for any hero names. What I am going to do, though, is just go over the traits of each of my... We've already gone over Reynald's quirks. I haven't really looked at things like base stats. So max HP 33, dodge 5. So that's looks like an armor. No modifier for attack, 5% chance for crit, and 6 to 12 damage with his weapon. Williams for Crusader. Oh my goodness, sorry, CPO Williams, I didn't even see that you'd asked that before. Thank you, Redivine, for mentioning that. I don't know why I missed that first one. Either I'm colorblind or I'm just stupid. Alright, sorry. Oh, and he's back to Reynald, so let's try that again. Alright, third time's a charm. Preferred position, one of the front 2. Smite is just a basic attack. Zealous Accusation will do damage to the first 2 in the front. Base accuracy of 80. It does damage modifier of -40 though. Stunning Blow we've sort of seen in action. I lose over half of the damage, but it has a base stun of 100%. Bulwark of Faith we also saw, so that's going to increase the torch and give myself extra protection, but I'm not going to be doing any damage to anybody. The other abilities that I can gain are a battle heal. I can heal one of the first 2... if I'm in one of the first 2 positions, I can heal from somebody for 1 to 3. Holy Lance, which is... I need to be in one of the back 3 positions. And crit modifier of 10% does extra damage to monsters. Basically, it's a and I move forward by 1, so it's sort of a lunging attack. And then there's Inspiring Cry, which does a heal, increases the torch, and also heals stress. So Inspiring Cry is an ability that I might consider wanting to pick up. It might even be better than Bulwark of Faith. But at this point, I don't have the ability to... can't actually gain any other abilities. I'll skip the camping skills for a little bit. And then resistances are percentage based. I'm just going to skip those for now. Our Highwayman Redvine, again, prefers to be in the middle of the party. Wicked Slice is a base 85 attack. That's basically... You'll notice that all my melee attacks require a reduction to the damage modifier. Wicked Slice doesn't, but it doesn't have that chance of bleed. Point Blank Shot would be if I was in the front of the party. It does 50%... Oh, it does an extra 50%, it looks like. And potentially knock somebody back. Again, it's a cool ability to have, but I don't necessarily want to have this guy in the front of the party, so I wouldn't consider it getting it myself. Then there's Duelist's Advance, which is an attack. It moves him forward by 1, a reduction to to damage. I think the big idea behind this one is that I can 1, attack anything, and 2, it's a lunging attack. So I think the idea here would be I'd use Duelist's Advance, and then I hit with a point blank shot. But it's not necessarily a combo that I want to do. I definitely like this guy being in position 2. So Pistol Shot will be able to hit anything that is past the first enemy, as long as I'm not in the front of the party. We've seen that one. Grave Shot Blast we talked about. The ones that I didn't use was Take Aim, which is to use a turn to increase my accuracy and my crit. And actually what I also forgot to talk about was the Crusader prefers attacking people in the front 2 positions, which is good because that's what all of his abilities do. Whereas the Highwayman prefers attacking, ideally, the second position, generally very unfavorable for any of the others. Alright, looks like the Plague Doctor didn't save. So Plague Doctor is pretty flexible as far as what he can accept. Or it could be a she, actually. I can't quite tell because of the robes, but... So the Plague Doctor is ideally in position 3, which is fine because that sort of seems to be the way the party's shaping up anyway, but is probably the most flexible out of all the positions I have. As far as quirks, it's a Warren's Tactician, so 15% damage in the Warrens. Sickly, so that's a negative 10% disease resist. As far as abilities are concerned, we've got a Plague Grenade as long as our Doctor is in the back 2 positions. It's an area of effect in the back 2 rows of the enemy. Negative 75% for a damage modifier, but does 3 damage per round from Blight for 3 rounds. This is particularly good because if you're facing against something like a skeleton, skeletons clearly can't bleed, whereas they can be blighted. We've got Incision, which as long as the Plague Doctor is not in the back row, can use it to affect one of the first 2 positions. It's a bleed attack, basically. It's almost like the Open Vein for the Highwayman. We've got Emboldening Vapors, which will increase 15% damage for the target, so a buff to allies. And then we have Disorienting Blast, which will affect one of the back 3 of the enemy, and basically it has a minus 100% damage modifier, but it shuffles a single target. I believe that means it changes their positioning. So I'm definitely going to be getting use out of these first 2, less so out of the other ones here. As far as things that we can buy, Noxious Blast, which is a small reduction in damage for Blight, so similar idea, except that it affects one of the first 2 positions. Oh, you can't wait to see how I do this? I'm probably going to suck at it, Blue, but let's see how we handle it. You've been having such a hard time. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's having a hard time in this game. I won't spend too much time on discussing the material, but I think this is also for me just to see how what we can do out of these heroes. Blinding Gas is, again, it's a stun ability, so something designed to disorient. This is definitely a support style character, it looks like. And then we have Battlefield Medicine, which is 1 healing, and then has a base chance of healing or securing Blight Bleed in either himself or a target for 70%. So, and then preferred targets, really none, but definitely prefers the back row to anything. So, finally we've got Bose, who is our Vestal, has Hatred of Beast, so 15% extra damage when attacking against a beast and 15% stress resist, but has Hemophilia, so a negative 20% bleed resist. Prefers to be in either position 2 or 3. So right now, both Redivine's and Endor's locations are sort of spoken for. What I will do is I'll put the Doctor in the very back, just because if you look at it, to fire the Plague Grenade, that I'm not affected by moving them to position 4. Incision, I'm cut out from. Actually, okay, so maybe I want to reconsider this. Dazzling Light. We'll see what the Vestal can do before I make a final decision. Dazzling Light can work from the back 2 positions, increases the torch, also has a potential for stun. Divine Comfort can be used from any of the back 3 locations. Illumination has to be used in one of the first 3 and again increases the torch. And Hand of Light has to be used in one of the first 2 positions, so very unlikely that I'm actually going to be using that. So, I almost think it's better to have her in the very back, to be perfectly honest. I'm just going to hit help to see. No, it doesn't say anything about preferred positions. So I'm actually going to try something new. I think I'm going to put the Vestal in the very back, just because what I'm really losing out of that is Illumination and Hand of Light, which I may not necessarily be using that much. This is my first playthrough. Yes, a blue. Alright, so let's just embark and see how this works.
A mecca of madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
So I only have one option here. We'll be going to the ruins, skirmish unholy abominations, turning in the light against itself, meet them in the battle, and learn how they fight. It's a short, doesn't require any camping, it's apprentice level, and the goal is to complete 100% of room battles. In exchange, I will get 3,000 gold, 2 busts, and 2 crests. So we'll go to provisions.
The cost of preparedness, measured now in gold, later in blood.
Provision for the journey. You'll want to take different supplies depending on what region you are going to, how long the quest is, and your own preferences, but always bring some food and torches. For your first short quest, try bringing at least 8 food and 4 torches. So, I'm going to bring 6, actually, just in case. I'm going to bring a shovel and a key, just in case we find something that can use that. And I think I'm going to take at least a bandage so that I can heal bleeding if I run into it. Oh, sure, yeah, I can definitely turn up the game volume. Now, I'm just going to let you know that the game is going to vanish when I go to change my volume settings. So don't panic, it'll come back once I get that fixed. Ruins. Each region has its own challenges. Assemble your party and supplies before press space or click to continue.
The fiends must be driven back. And what better place to begin than the seat of our noble line?
Just let me know if the volume's still too quiet. I don't want to go crazy on it. Why should I take the holy water, Baloo? Oh, thank you. Thanks for that. Has the mic recovered? Usually that trick works, so I'm just going to proceed ahead. If it's not working, please let me know and I'll try something else to fix. So again, remembering that our Crusader's a kleptomaniac, I'll just click on I'm going to use him to unlock it. Now, this is something that I learned a little while ago. It says there could be valuables left inside, but this cabinet is locked. I didn't know that you were actually supposed to put something inside it to use it. So, it's good. Great, thanks. It cleanses a lot of the stuff that you can find... can then loot. So, I may be missing... So what does cleansing do? You salvage an unburned torch. Great, thanks a lot. I definitely appreciate hearing about the audio quality because it's something that's really hard for me to keep track of just by looking at a volume dial. Altar of Light. A small holy altar seems out of place against this backdrop of corruption. A soothing pale light engulfs the hero. It looks like he's got a plus 20% to damage. Where next? Alright. Well, clearly nothing bad can happen if we open an Iron Maiden, right? I think Crusader's kind of tanky, so we'll go for him. A rusty Iron Maiden stands against the wall clasped shut. The hero inhales foul vapors. And he's gained Lockjaw. So what does that do? Minus 5 accuracy and negative 10% to damage. Well, crap. Alright, so we're coming up on a fight. We've got a fairly low torch right now, so what we're going to do is we're going to light that thing up, remembering that our Crusader does get a bonus to damage when it's sufficiently light. And we've surprised them because our light is so bright. So what are these guys' health at? They're 7, so the Grape Shot Blast probably isn't going to do as much as I'd like. So I think what we'll just go for is straight up damage on these guys. Yep, well, that didn't do what I was hoping for anyway. We will hit with... Well, I only have one option, Dazzling Light. And what I'll do here is I'll actually just finish off the Weber.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Following with our reasoning from before, we'll use the Stunning Blow. Now, I believe the Webers will make you more susceptible to damage, so in this case I'm actually going to go for a stun on the Weber rather than the Spitter. And I get my choice as to whether or not I want to do Incision or Emboldening Vapors. It's a little bit of a tough call because I'm probably not going to be able to finish off either of these things. So it might make sense for me to try and buff up one of my enemies so they can, but I'm going to go for the Incision anyway, and I'll just hit the Spitter. That way maybe a Grape Shot might be able to take everybody out. Nope, but I missed, so... Alright, well, we'll use our Dazzling Light on the Weber. Again, that's buffing up our torch as well, which is nice. So got hit by the Blight. In this case, I can't do a lot about that because I only brought bandages. And... I could try stunning the Weber, but honestly, the better thing for me to just do is... try and take out a target. I think what might be best is if I try and weaken the Spitter, and then I can try a Grape Shot Blast.
Executed with impunity.
Nope. No need, it turns out. I'll just open the vein and...
Disadvantage. Give them no quarter.
Alright, rifling through the corpses reveals 100 gold, a torch, and a portrait. So one thing I'll say about this, as far as the... I don't know, for lack of a better term, I'll say sort of the FTL style or the roguelike style of these sorts of games. You do benefit from putting a little bit of thought ahead of time in terms of how you're going to be dealing with your party, or, you know, there's no advantage to doing combat early if you think a little bit about what your strategy is going to be. Again, that's the difference between having a level where you say, oh god, you know, there's nothing I could have done to fix that, or, you know, this game's broken or something like that. I tend to notice that games like this will reward you for a little bit of forethought. Oh. So this is an interesting thing. I didn't actually go to click on that, and it looks like he opened it on his own. So apparently kleptomania will extend to encountering objects like that anyway. Shame on you, CPO Williams. The sack's contents are yours. 50 gold. And we are at 52 on a torch. We've got lots of them, so let's just fire this thing up. And if we run into any monsters, we'll be able to handle them. Oh. So, we just discovered a trap.
Cruel machinations spring to life with a singular purpose.
Again, just in the interests of keeping my Crusaders' damage up, I'm gonna hit burn another torch. Might be foolish, but we'll see. This one I am actually gonna try a Grape Shot Blast just to see how it turns out. Terribly! Alright, so in this case I'm going to go for an AoE strategy, and I will do Zealous Accusation, which doesn't do a ton of damage, but it'll do area of effect damage. And then we'll do a Plague Grenade again. This is going to be an AoE strategy that we do here, so I'm going to be hitting the back row with this. And I only have a party heal. Now, it's not very... Yeah, it's kind of unnecessary at this point. So I think I'm just going to try and take out the Weber. I'll go for the front one just because the probability of me doing 1 damage is relatively low.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Alright, great. And we can just, follow up by nailing the second Weber. That's fine, Redivine. We love you anyway. So the drawback here is that Grape Shot's not going to be doing as much as I want, but that's not... I don't think that's as much of a priority anymore, just because a combination of Open Vein and a big hit from my Crusader should be able to take these guys out anyway. So I'm going to use Open Vein on the front spitter, just because ideally I'll have both of these guys at low damage, which means that any of my weaker party members will also be able to wipe them out. Or he just hits him for 9 on his own. So Incision should finish this off.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
Rifling through the corpses reveals 1350 gold and Jade, which is worth 250 gold. And we will get the Highwayman to open the chest. It's trapped! But he resists. So scouting is something that happens, again, probabilistically. It's kind of nice to know this because I'll be able to save my torch until the very last section of the room, or sorry, of the hallway, and then if there's a fight in the room, I'm already going to have a bright torch. So even though I felt like I was starting to waste my torches a little bit, I don't need to worry about it just because I can use the resources I have judiciously. So, loot everything. Sack's contents are yours. 500 gold and crests. Alright, let's get the Vestal to read the stack of books. The hero reads a most unsettling passage and takes 33 stress damage. So if my stress goes up to the full value, which is a scale of 0 to 100, once they hit 100, they're going to possibly develop a quirk. Or they could also become heroic. Notice we're just before the monsters, so in this case we'll ignite the torch. We're at 87, so the Crusader's going to be getting his damage bonus. And maggots only have 5 HP, so they should be relatively easy to deal with. I'm thinking basically a combination of Grape Shot and a Plague Grenade. Oh, Plague Grenade's only going to do 1 damage, so... Let's try something different then. Let's get, we'll get Redivine to get an emboldening vapors, and then hopefully the Grape Shot will wipe out the maggots. So, No fair, you wanted the stress. Alright, so grape shot.
Be gone, fiend.
There we go. And of course you know that that would look completely badass in the real world too. That is basically the equivalent of the highwayman snorting a line of cocaine and then just shooting a bullet through all three monsters. Hunger. The exertions of adventuring have produced a growing hunger amongst the party. So I can starve, which means that they will take 20 damage plus stress. There's absolutely no point for me to do that because I brought 8 food. So I'll eat 4 food, and the nice thing here is that you regain 5 health. You can actually also eat to heal, but it only heals you for 1 unit. So I think it's a very inefficient use of food. Torch is getting a little bit dim. And you know what? We have 2 rooms to go through. So in this case, again, I'm at 74. The idea here is I want to keep my Crusader's damage up. I have 4 torches between 2 hallways, so I don't mind burning another one of these things. And it's 99, so we didn't waste any use of the torch anyway. I don't actually remember. Maybe it tells you how much it gives. It doesn't actually tell you the quantity of light it gives you. This is why we bring a shovel.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
A crude jumble of stones and debris blocks the path, so we will use the shovel to clear it. If you don't, then you take stress and damage. And we're at exactly 75 light. So it looks like we don't actually have anything to worry about anymore. So I'm thinking the doctor probably should use the alchemy table. New metals are synthesized. A boon at last. Yours for the taking, 50 gold. Alright, so we found a trap here. Scouted traps will be visible on the ground as you approach them. Select a hero and click the trap to attempt to disarm it. Some heroes are better than others at disarming. So actually, I would assume the highwayman is better at this, but let's see if it tells us on their character sheet. So 30% for the highwayman for trap disarming. 0% for the Vestal. 15% for the Plague Doctor, and 10% for the Crusader. So we're sort of playing to type the Highwayman is better at disarming traps. Apparently by walking into them.
Hazards possessed by evil intent.
Alright, so there may not... It doesn't seem like there's anything bad on the other side of that, but we're going to ignite our torch anyway, especially because we're at the end of the dungeon anyway. Oh, just as well that we did. Alright, so that's a lot of stress damage to be taking. I face a bit of a conundrum when it comes to these guys, because Open Vein is a reduction of damage in exchange for bleed, but these guys aren't going to be bleeding. So my options here are to do a Grape Shot Blast, which means I'm going to be doing half damage on basically a 3 to 7 damage item anyway. These are people with like 24 or 10 damage, so I think the better option for me to do here is, again, except that I'm not going to be doing a ton of damage at negative 25% anyway, but at least more, and to these guys in the back who are going to be doing some stress damage. An important thing to remember here is that stress will carry with you from dungeon to dungeon, whereas health is actually going to be regained between dungeons. So stress damage is actually arguably a worse long-term thing to go through than health damage, and so I really want to be dealing with these bone courtiers right away. So in this case, I'll just put a bullet in one of them and fail to hit. Russian Minesweeper, ever hear about this? Something tells me that your in-game persona has just demonstrated. Russian Minesweeper. Endors needs the madness. He thrives on the madness. So, a small problem here is that the Vestal would actually be better off in 2, so she can use Hand of the Light. Let's see. She can only swap with the Plague Doctor. Let's go for Dazzling Light, just so we can maybe try and stun one of these guys. I think we'll just go straight for Bone Defender. And resist the stun. Fair enough. Man, they hate you, Redvine. Alright, so here, the biggest damage that I'm going to do is from my smite, and at this point we just need to put everything into wiping these guys out, so... Hit it very hard! And because I still hate the Bone Courtiers, I'm going to use my Plague Grenade on them. And it looks like only one was blighted, but fair enough. More stress damage, so we're now at 53% stress. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Okay, it looks like that hurt. We'll go back to pistol shots. Now here I'm going to use it on the backbone courtier just so I can try and get some even damage out. There might be an argument for me to try and take this guy out on its own, but the damage is 4 to 10, so it's highly variable. Actually, So at quarter resistance, it's going to be 3 to... I need to think about this. 3 to roughly 8. Yeah, I still think the better one is to hit the Bone Courtier, so we'll see how much damage this actually does. None! So I need to decide whether or not I'm going to use Divine Comfort to heal the party, or... No, I think I'm just going to keep pounding on the Bone Defender. I'm going to use Divine Comfort once Redivine gets sufficiently low. And resist the stun again.
Teetering on the brink, facing the abyss.
Death's Door. When a hero is reduced to 0 HP, they are at Death's Door. While in this state, they suffer stat penalties, plus any further damage has a chance to kill them. Heal them to get them off Death's Door. Alright, so now because I've been pushed ahead, I can't use my Plague Grenade anymore, which is really disadvantageous. I think what we will do is... I don't want to waste a turn to reposition him, so I think we'll just double down and give our Crusader some extra damage. If you were more crazy, I could give you another line of coke. Oh, I got you covered, Redivine, don't worry. Alright, and we're just going to keep pounding on this Bone Defender.
More blood soaks the soil.
Well, never mind, Redivine, you're dead. Discretion is the better part of valor. The first of many heroes has given their all in service to you. You have the option of retreating from combat and abandoning this quest to save the others, or press onward. The choice is yours. If this is a tutorial, retreat is unavailable. So I guess the choice isn't ours. So the plan was I was going to do a party heal to get you off of Death's Door and then switch you out so you're at the very back, but such is life. On the plus side, we do now have... Oh wait, it's Hand of Light that does the wicked damage, so let's switch. Which means I can start using the Plague Grenade again. Everybody's missing. Alright, well, get styled upon, Bone Soldier. Oh, missed that too. You all deserve to die.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Let's do a disorienting blast. No. I wanted to try and get the courtier right out in front so we could take advantage of him being out of position.
Set the stage for heroism or cowardice.
Alright, so now we can use Hand of Light. The idea here is basically just try and take things out of play as quickly as possible now, so even at this point I'm going to be... Actually, let's do an Emboldening Vapors on the Crusader just because that'll be extra damage. The darkness consumes all. We'll get through this.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Even the narrator is against me. So we've got 2 busts, emerald, accuracy stone, and a skeleton key. And we'll search the sarcophagus. The hero contemplates mortality and got thanatophobia. So that is... Health below 50% is a negative 20% to stress resist. And that is our first dungeon.
More bones return to rest. Devils remanded to their abyss.
So I think in total we get about 6,000 gold. We got, I think, 8 busts, 1 painting, no deeds, and 4 crests. I don't think overconfidence is a vice we struggle with. Yeah. It's kind of... it's a pity that Redivine died just because he was one of my original level 1s, but... So Williams now has a Fear of Mankind, which is minus to accuracy and stress resist when facing against humans, but has a natural swing which gives plus 5 accuracy. Endor's is Witness, so after seeing troubling behavior, will not take part in the prayer activity in town, but does have quick reflexes, so plus 2 speed, which I believe will translate into better initiative roll. And then Bose has become a Flagellant, so will only flagellate for stress relief, and has Second Wind, so when health is below 50%, plus 10% damage. So at least a bonus to sort of counterbalance that negative
My
trait.
obsession caused this great foulness, and it is shameful that I must rely upon you to set it right.
So, week 2, we've unlocked the Tavern, the Abbey, we've got people up to level 1, and obviously we recall the Fallen. Williams doesn't want to go on another trip, I don't blame him. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start dealing with this stress, but we will first start by adding people from the stagecoach. So we've got a Jester,
You will be laughing still at the end.
Hellion, a Grave Robber, and another Hellion.
Barbaric rage and unrelenting savagery make for a powerful ally.
Alright, so we can't do any upgrades to the Stagecoach network. We've got some fresh blood. What I'm going to do here, this is normally my break time, so I notice, again, if I tab out of the window, it's just going to make the game go away. It seems a little elaborate to just be gone for about 3 minutes, so what I will do, if anybody wants to rename characters, Redivine, obviously feel free to pick one of these heroes to be... can you name the healer CPO? Sure. But yeah, I will take, over the course of the break, I'm going to get up, stretch, refill my water, encourage you guys to do the same, and before I get back, if you guys could just give any recommendations that you want for hero names, we'll do that, and we'll move on to the next part of the dungeon. See you guys in a little bit. Oh, okay, so I will name the Jester CPO instead. Thanks everybody for waiting. I know it's a little annoying not to have a message up for that, so... So Jester has automatonophobia, which seems to be also for humans, and a stress eater, 100% food consumed when stress is above 50. We've got a Dirk Stab, which moves him forward by 3 and improves the crit. Not sure why I would do that. Harvest will hit the middle 2. Minus 40%, but bleeds people out. We'll do a Battle Ballad. The party gains accuracy and crit, and Inspiring Tune, which heals stress. So this is a pretty nice one to have, and prefers hitting people in the middle. Alright. And Redivine, I'm taking that as you will only want to be named after Highwayman, which is fine. I can work with that. Is there anybody I want to name? Yeah, we'll go without. Okay, so now we need to start dealing with people's stress. So...
The cobwebs have been dusted, the pews set straight. The Abbey calls to the faithful.
Heroes relieve stress by taking part in activities at the Tavern and Abbey. Each activity has different side effects. Experiment to find the best activity for each hero depending on their quirks. Committing a hero to an activity locks them in that activity until the next week. You'll have to take a different hero with you on your next quest. So, we only have one option here, which is Phalligation. Or is it Phalligation? Anyways. 1500 to beat yourself. And Williams... will only pray. So off to the transept with you. So church is all filled up. The caretaker is already taking up this spot. We can potentially improve it. Let's just take a look here. Increases stress recovery. I just want to take a second to see what it's going to take to upgrade the stagecoach. So it's deeds and crests. So as long as I don't drop below 8 crests, I should be good. So let's upgrade that.
A man in a robe, claiming communion with the divine.
This is
madness.
This is purely just for these two heroes right now, but I've been sitting on, I've noticed the last time that I played this, I just kind of sat on them, and I think it's probably better to make use out of what I can right now. So, I could possibly improve Endor's stress.
Fresh kegs, cards, and curtained rooms promise solace to the weary and broken alike.
What have we got for stress right now? It doesn't say, actually. I don't actually think Endors is sufficiently stressed to merit... Well... There's 2 ways that I can do this. I can either try and improve their health. So I can try and basically even out everybody's levels and let Endors get some stress relief. Or I can try and get him to level 2. He's 38 out of 100. Yeah, you know what? 38's not that high, so I think I'm going to at least consider taking him along. What are your traits? So for quirks, you've got Warren's Tactician, so plus 15 damage in there. Quick reflexes, 2 speed. You're sickly, so 10% disease resist. And you are a witness, so after seeing troubling behavior, you will not take part in prayer activity. Alright, so we gotta work out our party composition. I guess we also should decide on where we're going first. So it's got this highlighted. Now, what I'm not clear about is these other areas. So let's just take a click and see what they are. Right now this says, Unholy machinations have crushed together the hallway and the vault. Explore your ancestral home as far as you are able. This is a medium length, so I get 1 campfire, and my goal is to explore 90% of all rooms. Scout, test yourself in the mad realm of your fallen ancestor. Take note of how the creatures have taken over, but don't delve too far. Explore 90% of rooms. I can skirmish. Unholy abominations, turning the light against itself. Meet them in battle and learn how they fight. So I think this is the same as before. Explore and cleanse. They can be killed, they can be beaten, and I want to complete 100%. Oh, you know what? I also got an item. So, plus accuracy, -4 to dodge. I think I need to sort out how I am arranging the party for that. So let's just start by taking a look at the Hellions. Both want to be in the front position. And let's see. So I've got Wicked Hack for basically base attack and a 5% crit modifier. Iron Swan, which is effectively the same attack, it looks like, just can only hit somebody in the back. If it bleeds, which gives bleeding damage. And bleed out. The alternative is to get rid of if it bleeds and use breakthrough, which is an area of effect attack. I actually like this a little bit more. So problem here is egomania, obsessed with self-worship, and Warren's phobe. So -20% stress resist in the Warrens, and has last gasp if health below 50% 1 speed. So I think I will make Anazari the front of the party. Let's see if there's a natural position too. Not really. Endors might be a good position too in this case. Oh, except I can't use the plague grenade then. So I think my second best would be the Grave Robber. So it's only Poison Dart that I'm missing out if I put her in position 2, so for lack of a better option, that's going to be my number 2. I think I'll put Endor as a number 3 because Plague Grenade is pretty strong. And that leaves me CPO in position 4. Now, the next thing I want to think about is who I give that relic to. I actually think that might be a good one to put on Endors, except that it's better served for somebody in position 4. But let's give this a try. It's just something nice about being able to hit those plague grenades consistently. So we'll see whether or not this works out for us. I will just go for the recommended... I'll go for the recommended exploration mission. Firewood and camping. This quest involves camping, and camping requires firewood. Firewood is given automatically to you on appropriate quests. Camping gives heroes a chance to recuperate while in the dungeon. When you are wounded or stressed or wish to camp, right-click on the firewood in your inventory. So 12 food? I think that sounds good. Definitely take a shovel. I don't believe... I think it was Baloo666. I don't know if you're still here. If you are, I didn't quite understand your explanation in terms of what holy water was for. So I'm going to hold off unless somebody knows what that does. But I'd love some feedback in terms of what that does. 8 torches sounds good for this one. Definitely take a key. And... Blight for holy water? Oh, so it cures blight? I thought that was what anti-venom did. So I guess my question is, why would you choose holy water over anti-venom, which also will clear poison and toxin? I think in this case I'm actually going to take one of each of those. Let's take a second key as well, actually, because I ran into that other one. I think I'm going to hold off on taking the holy water again. Oh, and you know what? Because we're camping, I'm going to take 4 more food. Yeah, I agree that I would normally think that anti-venom only does poison, but I'm specifically looking at the tooltip here, which says used to counter blights, poisons, and toxins. Oh, purifies founts. Okay, I haven't run into founts yet, so I'm gonna hold off and I'll just go with this. The problem is, I would love to take more provisions, but if I overstack, then I'm not gonna be able to carry as much loot. So I'll go with this, and I'll just learn my lesson when people start dying again. Once holy idols and shrines have been corrupted to favor pagan gods, holy water can help restore them to their rightful condition. All right, so there we go.
Pace out the halls of your lineage once familiar, now foreign.
Alright, so we want to explore 90% of the rooms. Now this is kind of a crappy layout, because what I got to do here is waste torches going back here, and then this kind of maze. So I think the way I'm going to handle that, I just want to make sure that nobody gets anything for relative degrees of light. Alright, so it's not as big of a deal. I mean, there's definitely benefits to having high amounts of light, but I don't have a damage reason for keeping my light. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to move to the back first, and then we'll see what we can do from there. The other nice thing about this is that each of these 3 rooms are going to give me an opportunity to scout, so I also increase the chances of sort of finding out what's happening in the more substantial part of the map that, by going into these 3. Alright, well, you like madness, Endor, so let's just take a look at the bookshelf. The knowledge within forever changes the hero. And he's got Sitiomania. Obsessed with food. The sack is empty. Or I guess if I needed to make it like the narrator, the vacuous sack taunts you with its emptiness, or something like that. Alright, nothing. Let's move on. The pack has a map inside. Okay, this is nice to know. So basically I'm just gonna get as much as I can out of this light, and then we'll light the torch on our way back. Alright, so we're back to these wankers. Let's do a battle ballad. So I can do Thrown Dagger, or I could do a pick to the face. I think what I'll do here is I'll go for Thrown Dagger just so I can take out these bone courtiers.
Executed with impunity.
Pardon my reach.
A powerful blow.
Alright, let's push our advantage. I think what we should go for here is a Wicked Hack.
Begone, fiend.
And we'll try Disorient and Blast. Alright, so the Bone Courtier is screwed now. Alright. So what I will do here is go for Inspiring Tune and just take advantage of some stress reduction. Nope, looks like that only happened to the grave robber though. So we'll go for a Wicked Hack on the soldier, actually.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
I really don't want to use Dirk Stab, but I kind of well, now let's just do a Battle Ballad. Just taking too much damage through wasting those turns. And a pick to the face.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Victory, rifling through the corpses, reveals 2 deeds, 125 gold, and a torch. The torch. The light is fading. The current torch level greatly affects many mechanics in the game. The darker it gets, the harder things get, but the better the rewards. Right-click on the torch from the inventory to boost the light back up. So Double plus to stress, plus to monster accuracy and damage, plus to loot, plus to player crits. Well, I kind of know that there aren't any enemies for me to be facing, so... I'm just going to get the most I can out of this torch. The volumes are dull and uninteresting. Alright, who's good at disarming traps? So 20% on the Hellion. 40% for the Grave Robber. Probably not surprising there. It was 25 for the Plague Doctor, and the Jester is 20. Disarmed. Alright, so we basically just double back. Regrettably, you can't directly go to a room. You actually need to go through each individual hallway, which is a bit of a shame. It'd be kind of nice if you could just sort of walk through all the stuff you've been past, but in this case, I'm just gonna let this torch head down because I know I'm not gonna run into anything. That way, we can sort of get the most out of what we use. Oh, and looks like there's some monsters that have shown up, so I'll get as far as I can. Oh, we've got hunger. So the exertions of adventuring have produced a growing hunger amongst the party. We'll eat, which is nice because it gives a bit of a bonus to the health. But now we're actually going to use more than one torch just so we can get ourselves up to a decent level. So 86 sounds good. So here we have a surprise. What I'm going to do in this case is try to maximize the amount of damage that I can do on this one turn. That means I'm going to use the AoE hits. So this weapon, 4 to 7, 4 to 7, so I'm going to go for Thrown Dagger just because it has a higher crit chance. And we'll do it to the Bone Rabble. That's good. So he'll probably die when I do the area of effect one. Let's hit him with a Plague Grenade. Yeah, I think that's the right call. Alright, so he resisted that, and we'll do a Battle Ballad, just, again, to improve. It'd be nice if we could do the Battle Ballad at the beginning so we can have these extra bits of damage, but I guess it's better than nothing. Alright, and we'll do the AoE.
A singular strike. Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
My Hellion is not to be trifled with. Alright, Iron Maiden. The hero inhales foul vapors. Got Lockjaw. Alright, so let's unlock the display cabinet. Treasures are stored in the cabinet. We've got...
Finding the stuff
Good
was only
lord.
the first test. Now it must be carried home.
It's a lot of gold. Hello, Lorgosh. I don't know about the game having low FPS, but I do have bandwidth constraints, so I have to keep this game... I have to broadcast at a lower resolution than I normally like to. Thanks for stopping by the stream, though. Alright, so Grave Robber is our best trap disarmer, apparently by walking into it.
Ancient traps lie in wait, unsprung and thirsting for
And we'll
blood.
get the good doctor to read our next stack of books. Volumes are desiccated and unremarkable. And let's just light a torch because we'll probably have some combat coming up in a second. I'm actually burning through these pretty quickly, so I should maybe hold off. Okay, and this is actually a fairly, as people have been pointing out, this is a pretty mild dungeon so far. We haven't really had that much misery. I think the way I'm going to approach this is to go through the top rooms, so basically trace the outline of the dungeon, and then the final two I'll double back and claim. Well, actually no, that seems a little silly. If I follow a snake path, the then I can just go straight back up. So yeah, I think I'll do a snake from sort of the top, then down right, down left. And then I'll double back to finish the hallways if I feel the need. You do not know of that. Just seems that it would have low FPS and make it not run that smooth, but in the end it matters not. Quality is good on the stream, but the game itself not. It's a long dungeon. Yeah, it's definitely a very long dungeon. So torches are a little bit of a worry, but as long as I'm good at managing this stuff, it shouldn't be a problem. So eat 4 food, gain 4 health, or 25% health. And no monsters again. I also have a campfire that I can still take advantage of. I haven't done it just because I haven't really had much of a need so far. Ah, here's some monsters. It does teleport me out. I was thinking more so I could clear the last couple of halls. But if I get really desperate, I can avoid it. Okay, so the cultist brawler can possibly bleed. The bone soldier's kind of strong, and the acolyte can actually screw with my positioning. So what I think I'm going to do is a thrown dagger on her. Let's do our usual battle ballad. Eldritch push. And resisted. So we'll use a plague grenade. Oh, that's actually kind of ugly. Let's do emboldening vapors instead on the Hellion. Endor successfully dodges the slash from the skeleton. Alright, so we've got a bleed. I think I'll just go straight for a bandage here. Alright, now I have my choice. I could try a bleed out. I'd do less damage and I'd get a reduction to dodge. I think the better thing for me to try would either be a breakthrough or a wicked hack. I'm a little more inclined to do the wicked hack just so I can try and take one of these guys out from the beginning. I think the question is, do I want to take down the brawler or do I want to take out the soldier? I think the brawler is better because of the potential for bleed. And in this case, I'm going to use Endors to do some damage. It may not be enough, but we'll at least give it a try. Well done. Alright, so thrown dagger on the acolyte again.
Well struck.
You're looking a tad wan, friend. And here we just whack things. Alright, now here I'm not so worried about Dirk Stab. Now, you'll see the reason why I don't use this guy for combat a whole lot.
A devastating blow.
I don't necessarily want the Jester in this position during a fight.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
We got 2 busts, a jade, and 250 gold from that. Now the nice thing is now that I'm out of combat, I can just move him straight to the back. But that's obviously a last minute. That's a last minute move. That's not something I want to be doing regularly. I think it's time to hit another torch. Alright, so we've got a bone courtier to deal with. Grave robber resisted bleeding, so I'm gonna target the bone courtier first just because it's pretty insidious stress damage. And we'll get a chance to use a plague grenade for that area of effect. And dodged. Alright, so we'll do our battle ballad. It's actually a pretty heavy hit from the goblet. Biggest one here is these are actually some fairly heavy hitters with some high health pools, so I think this is a time to use the Iron Swan just to take out the courtier. Oh, dodged.
Mortality clarified in a single strike.
Yeah, the problem with this one is I don't have any healers. And dodge the grenade again.
How quickly the tide turns.
This is definitely one to camp out with. So, thrown dagger on the courtier.
Such a terrible assault cannot be left unanswered.
I'm not quite ready to jump CPO to the front yet, so we're going to do another battle ballad. I don't want to do breakthrough just because that's going to reduce my damage and my dodge, so instead I'm going to focus on hitting things. In this case I'm going to do the brawler because I really can't afford to have too many more people bleeding, especially my grave robber, who is in range of that attack. Alright, and I think I'm also going to do an incision on the cultist brawler because that also gives me a chance to do that bleed damage. And he dodges. There will be no blood left for the leeches. Alright, so things are picking up a little bit. Thrown dagger on the cultist just because they're my chief source of stress now. I do want to deal with this bone defender, but it's 24 damage, or he's 24 HP, so there's no way I can really take him down in one turn. Yeah, I'm thinking of reducing stress at the campfire.
Vistas of emptiness reveal themselves.
Alright, so now I can use Harvest, which is a bonus because he moved up to position 3.
Injury and despondence set the stage for heroism or cowardice.
I don't really want to waste the tempo on a move, so we'll use Emboldening Vapors on the Hellion. And yeah, let's take out the Cultist Acolyte. That way I can use this guy to start doing some music to reduce stress. Damn it. Alright, Thrown Dagger. So, Wicked Hack.
Destroy.
Ah, damn it. I was hoping to do I was hoping to do less damage so I could heal the stress.
Yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Alright, Rifling Through the Corpses reveals Onyx, 500 gold, 500 gold value, 300 gold itself, and a Selfish Pendant, Hellion only, plus 12% stress resist, but minus 8% damage. Now, she's my primary damage dealer, so I don't know if I really want to use that thing yet. But what we are going to do is camp.
Gathered close in tenuous firelight and uneasy companionship.
Camping consists of 2 parts, meal phase and a skill phase. During the meal phase, you choose how much to each, which determines recovery. Make sure you have enough food. Skill phase allows you to spend rest points on different hero skills used for recuperation. So I'm a little bit low on food. What I'm going to do here is just go for 4, which will give me 10% health but no stress. It'd be nice to feast, but the problem is that I just set myself up for disappointment if I go into later rooms and I need to eat. So this is sort of a safety choice here. And now we get to decide how I spend my 12. So I could do Encourage. One companion has stress reduced by 10. Could Revel, which will give me less accuracy, less speed, reduce my stress by 20, and heal by 15. I could Reject the Gods, which will reduce my stress by 25, but all of my companions will have an increase in their own stress. My Jester could heal a companion, which is really good for the Grave Robber. I could Turn Back Time, which reduces stress by 30, and I can do Tiger's Eye, which will increase accuracy and stress resist. So Jester is definitely high priority on everything. The Grave Robber can do Wound Care, which again heals. I could do Night Moves, which improves scouting chances, and I can Pilfer, which produces a supply item. And then finally, we can do Encourage, which reduces stress. We can do Experimental Vapors, which has a 75% chance of healing 50%, and Self-Medicate. So let's start by Wound Care. Tress is the part your road to find gold in the dungeon that have owner who trusts and free to hide gold in fear to be cursed. Living who feels trust to find wicked joy in dungeon. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to manage stress. I think that the hard part here is a lot of the stress reduction is going to be single target, so I sort of need to manage that a little bit better, I think. So wound care takes 2. Experimental vapors 4. 3. Okay, so 3. Out of the stuff I want to do, it's 3, 2, so 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I've got one too few. Let's do experimental vapors on the grave robber. Inhale this. It should make you feel better. And it failed. Okay, so I've got 6. Now we're going to worry about reducing stress. So let's reduce the grave robber's stress. Pride's like a knife. It can cut deep inside. Okay. Missed that. And I can encourage one party member. I think the Hellions pretty strong, so let's encourage the Plague Doctor. You have the heart of a panther. I can hear it purring. And in this case, well, I could reject the gods. Yeah, let's go for it. As a net, it's not that problem. I follow only the culted... okay, well, I missed it. So that might do me in, but as a net, the grave robber's the only one who had an increase in stress, and the jester isn't actually suffering that much, so... Sleep calls will need our strength. Wake up! They're upon us! Ambush. Well, that sucks. So let's just do the maximum damage that we can. Do the bone rabble. Oh, did that sting? Jesus.
Now the true test. Hold fast or expire.
It's only 4 to 7 damage, so I can't actually take any of these people out. But I also don't want to move my grave robber in the front, so let's do... Yeah, I guess I have to do an incision in the front. And let's do a battle ballad. Grave robber got lucky there. So I'd really prefer not to do... Like, I'd prefer to be doing damage, but at this point I really need to get her up so she can do some useful attacks.
Death waits for the slightest lapse in concentration.
And again, this is more wasted tempo, but I need to get my Hellion in play, so my choices right now are next turn I can waste my Hellion's move to make an attack, or I can waste my my grave robber, or sorry, my plague doctor to get into... Actually, let me just double check my Hellion's moves. Oh, damn it, I didn't want to pass. Okay, so Wicked Hack does actually work there, so that's a big shame that that happened, but we'll get through it. Battle Ballad. Healer would definitely be good on each team. Just my healer is currently in the temple. So I think this is actually a time to do the Dirk Stab. Let's go for a certain kill. And we'll give a bonus to dodge. So I need to get the Hellion in play, so I'll switch positions. Oh, so close. Alright. Well, I have initiative, so we win. So a bit of a spooky encounter.
But a victory nonetheless.
Definitely we're behind as far as an overall state.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
Let me just take a look. So Plague Grenade's good in the back 2 positions, so let's And throwing dagger. Okay. So I actually think we're going to... This is not the best lineup, to be completely honest. But it does keep the person who's on death's door in a slightly safer position. Williams didn't go insane, no. Let's push forward. Let's see what we can get out of this place. Do I still have my shovel? Yep.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
The pack has already been looted. That could have been worse, I suppose. Indeed it could have. Alright, let's see what horrible things await us behind the door. I may need to come back to this dungeon, you're absolutely right. Alright, I gotta deal with that crossbowman immediately.
Dazed,
Jesus!
reeling, about to break.
Alright, let's see the magic happen. We're gonna do an incision... Yeah, let's do an incision on our front guy. I could also try bleed out, but that's a little early, so we're gonna do Iron Swan on the Bone Arbalist, just because this is a 16 damage individual who does some ridiculous damage with his crits.
Becoming unwound.
Endor's resolve is tested, and he becomes masochistic. Finally, the doctor becomes the patient. Alright. Let's do a battle ballad. Thrown Dagon on the Arbalist. Not good enough. More ballads. Apparently there's a bug. Nope, still death's door. Oh, but he's bleeding, so he's done for. Hello, Black Dahlia. So exhausted. Oh, did you finish the game? Oh, everybody's almost dead.
Facing the abyss.
Alright. I think we should retreat.
The sin is not in being outmatched, but in failing to recognize it. Wounds to be tended.
There was it was basically a call for a string to resist it, but it didn't actually have any dialogue. It was the actual code that came up. Alright, so we got 5,500 gold, we got some heirlooms and some deeds, but we missed out on the actual rewards. So, Anzare is light sensitive and fated, so minus 10 damage as long as light is above 0, chance to turn any miss into a hit. Adnel is calm, minus 15% damage on the first round, deadly, plus 1% crit. Endor's has Legophobia, light below 25, minus 20% stress relief, and is a Warren's Adventurer, plus 20% stress resist. And CPO has Bad Humors, negative 15% max HP, and Steady, 10% stress resist. Congratulations.
There is a great horror beneath the manor.
Well,
a crawling chaos that must be destroyed.
It's hard to say that Darkest Dungeon can ever go well. We had a fairly good first round, and then we had to run from this one because, just in general, we weren't quite strong enough. We had a good start, and then we just got nailed by a bunch of crits, and for lack of a healer, we couldn't really get through it, so... It's not a problem. It was fun to stop by. I saw you being completely harassed while your mod was dealing with their internet issues, but I actually thought you dealt with it uniquely well. So that was fun. Alright, so our healers almost completely eliminated her stress. Williams observed unsavory activities and refuses to take part in organized prayer again. So, I believe he only goes for prayer and now refuses to partake in prayer. Let me just double check this. So, witness will not take part in prayer. Oh, nope, okay. I was wrong. Yeah, Ewok was harassed. The madness that beckons me to sink deeper into it, to swim in its depths, to drink of its rather than delve into its treasures. I think you're getting a little too in character here, Endors. Alright,
Make no mistake, we will face ever greater threats. Our soldiers must be ready.
I think I'm just going to get rid of the exclamation marks and I'll come back to these later.
The bellows blast once again. The forge stands ready to make weapons of war.
So I guess we need to deal with our stress first. Okay, so we've got somebody who will only go to the penance hall. So what egomania? I'm just trying to think what activity. Well, brothel's occupied. Church is still open though. Damn it! Alright, so jesters almost always like drinking. Let's get Endors to meditate. Let me find out what's making that noise. Ah. Looks like somebody just started hosting, which I didn't realize. Alright. Sorry, I'll bring back the game. I just had to get rid of... I didn't realize I had a window open, so... This is hard to think about how to reduce the stress for these people. So, the one thing I'm almost certain... This is somebody who just rejected the gods, so I definitely don't want a Hellion praying. But on the other hand... Well, I mean, gambling is as good as anything, I guess, so... Let's find... Oh, these are also good. Can I upgrade? Nope, not enough deeds. Alright, so... The Occultist. Good position 3. Does healing. Yeah, so I definitely want to bring in my Occultist.
To fight the abyss,
and
one must know it.
What does a bounty hunter do? So collect bounty, monsters tagged, pulls people in, uppercut. Yeah, I think we'll add, it kind of gives us one of everything.
The thrill of the hunt, the promise of payment.
And I guess I'll give the Hellion the artifact. I'm just not crazy about the fact that the damage goes down. I'm gonna have to trust you on the link there. I don't want to make the game go minimized again just for the sake of looking at links. Oh, hey, Torj. Sorry, Jesus, there's lots of you. Oh, CPL Williams, your stream's still not working? I'm sorry to see that. I definitely need another healer. Well, I mean, so the Occultist sort of has that heal as well. I was going to consider it another Vestal, but I really like the Occultist because they have weird reconstruction as well as some of these damaging abilities. So I figure alternating between the Vestal and the Occultist would be good. I'm maybe a little hesitant to put them both in the party, but I think they'll... Well, actually, I'm probably going to wind up putting them both in the party this time around, but... Let's embark. Let's do the same mission again. Oh, it gives me the option of the wield, though. I actually like this a little bit more because it gives me deeds. So, yeah, we'll go for this one instead. So you need to choose who takes point. Let's give Williams a chance again. Oh wait, battle back the creatures and bandits. So let's actually go for a Hellion instead. Because... I suspect I am going to have fewer undead to deal with. We'll give our Occultist his trial run. Medley can go in position 2 and... I guess a position 4 healer. I mean, this is a really crappy heal, to be totally honest. Oh, right. That's what I should use the guild for. If I don't like the heals... Okay, so I've got a Mace Bash, Judgment. Judgment's good for self-heal. Divine Grace is what I want. Oh, I should have read that. Alright, let's embark. So, Hellion... Let's see if this group has a little bit more success in the wield. Alright, let's see if I can... figure out who's next. Claire must have finished. So we've got Torrigan, Redivined, Ewok Fuzzy Nuts, Black Dahlia. Yep. Believe all of you are from Clara's chat, so... And then, of course, my own regulars of CPO Williams Endors. I've not forgotten you, but certainly a lot of faces coming in with the Team Panda group. Yeah, Ewok Fuzzy Nuts, I'll say, like, the art style in this game is absolutely fantastic. I was talking earlier about how the fact that this game is actually relatively simple, but they have used every single element to its strengths, like to its best strengths. So, I think this game does everything right, and it makes me feel like a complete noob. Let's get the most that we can out of torches. I think we can carry 8. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with this. Well, you're all fantastic anyway. That's my one regret, actually, of my streaming schedule, is that I tend to miss out on a lot of the other good streams just because we all seem to be streaming roughly at the same time. So it was nice to have a chance to meet all of you. What you've seen is this game is hard in a good way to make the player want more. Yeah, well, I mean, I was going to say, like,
Corruption has soaked the soil, sapping all good life from these groves. Let us burn out this evil.
I think this game... Oh, this is a nice small one. I think this game forces you to think about what you're doing, is the best that I can say, and it's good. It's also nice that you can plan, and then you get hit by like 100 bad crits. Okay, so I have a bit of a decision to make here. I could try and use my AoE attack, but that's going to make her do less damage in future. It's 5 to 10 damage. Let's just start with a straight collect bounty on... Actually, no, I really want to get that venomous spitter. Okay, so I'm going to take out the spitter. Alright, let's do a... sacrificial stab on the maggot. Oh, not enough. So, a wicked attack, and because it's a heavy damage dealer, I'm going to do it on this other maggot. Dodged! Black Dahlia, thank you so much for the host. You know what you really need in this dungeon? Someone who's completely mad. No, I need people with as little sanity loss as possible. And hello to everybody from Black Dahlia's stream. I apologize, this is going to be a bit of a step down as far as quality is concerned, but I'll absolutely do my best to at least get a little bit of what he brings to Twitch. So, thanks for coming by. I hope you stay around for a little bit to give me a chance to completely amaze you with my incompetence at the darkest dungeon. Here I'm going to go for the certain kill and just take out the maggot.
Disadvantage. Give them no quarter.
Alright. I don't really see any difference between collect bounty and finish him, except for the fact that this is going to be taking... the tag monster is going to take more damage, so on the odd chance I don't do the 5 damage. Yeah, it's a moot point. First CK2, then this. I have a good choice in games. Thank you very much for saying so, K for Kevin. I was actually going to start with Crusader Kings 2 tonight, except that it occurred to me I've done it a few days in a row, so I've been sitting on this one. I've been wanting to stream it for a while. I'm no good at it, but I think this is a fun game. The biggest problem that I run into is I sometimes have a little bit of difficulty thinking about what to say over a game like this, but I leave that to you to judge whether or not you're getting what you want out of the stream. As with everything, if you think there's a game that I stream well, you'd like to see me to stream, or one that you'd like to see less of, that's definitely feedback that I'm looking for, and if you don't feel comfortable saying it inside of chat, I always read the messages inside of my inbox, so anything you want to say, definitely feel free to let me know. But it's always nice to get the good feedback like that, and feel free to say that in public so everybody can be motivated by your kindness. Alright, so let's... actually won't hit the torch until I hit that stack of monsters, so let's move back. Gonna be lurking, gotta say hi to some other peeps back in a bit. Oh, no problem. Thanks a lot for stopping by, Black Dahlia, and thank you for bringing your peeps. Be sure to check my other mailbox in Twit. What's the other mailbox? Oh, did I say Twitter instead of Twitch? Oh yeah, CPO Williams. So I, based on your recommendation, I also talked about this with A. Nukem. I'm definitely interested in Sunless Sea. I took a look at the price. It's a little bit more than what I'm willing to put into